Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the Dan Talk podcast, and I'm your host, Jordan Burt. Today, I have two wonderful friends of mine. I have Jake McAnally,
Hello.
and I have my boy, Nicholas Ramsey.
What's up, y'all?
So, thank y'all for being here, both of y'all. You know, it's been a minute since we've done a podcast. It's been a crazy past 2 months for me and everything. So, you know, it's just good to be back and talk Marvel news with everybody. So we have three big main topics today we're going to talk about. The first topic we're going to talk about is the new titles of the Phase 4 movies. Nick, Jake, I know y'all, I sent the image to y'all earlier today, so y'all can kind of see what they look like and then compare them to the old ones that were announced in December. So we're going to go through those row by row, and I will, of course, upload the picture to the screen as well for the audience to see and everything. And then our second main topic is going to be Spider-Man No Way Home. Some interesting news is going around saying William Dafoe, the original Green Goblin from the Spider-Man 1 Raimi series from 2001, is possibly coming back. And he will be forming the group known as the Sinister Six.
Let's
So,
go.
and I'll go a little, it's
Need
exciting.
that.
I've been wanting them to do a Sinister Six movie with Spider-Man so long, but you know, hopefully this kind of sets up the puzzle and everything and whatnot going along with that. And then our last discussion and topic of the day will be Loki, the new series on Disney Plus with Tom Hiddleston. And you know, we only gotten 2 episodes so far, but whew, I can't tell you how much I'm really enjoying this and everything. So, all right, well, let's get on to topic number 1. And topic number 1 is the logos. Okay. So, guys, y'all seen the image of the logo, seen the scheduling and everything. We have Black Widow coming out to us pretty soon, July 9th and everything. And so far, the trailers have been very good. And then they just had the reviews embargo lifted on it, and so far it's been nothing but positive things, even though, you know, it's kind of set in between Civil War and Infinity War with Scarlett Johansson's character Black Widow storyline. So, you know, going through here, we got the first one, we got Black Widow, of course, coming at us. Then we have Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is kind of, you know, a character not really most people know about. He's more of a kung fu kind of guy, but his logo really didn't change too much, just besides getting a little bigger and with the red and the Shang-Chi title, and then underneath it the 10 rings being gold, which kind of emphasizes the actual comic book version. And then the Eternals, really not much change, just besides them taking out the Eternals, so and everything. So guys, you know, going through all these titles and everything, which one really stood out to y'all whenever you compared them to the titles that were announced in December? Jake, you can go first.
Well, when I first looked at them, they didn't really look like they changed that much, in my opinion. There's a ongoing joke within the graphic design community that the people that really make the final calls, they're bad about saying, "Can you make the logo bigger?" or like, "Can you make it with more pop?" And I feel like some of these, it's just like they're the same thing. They're
Yeah.
just shinier or bigger. Besides,
Yeah.
like the Black Widow, which you couldn't really read anyways.
Yeah.
And so they just made it white on black, which
Very basic. Yeah.
for
No,
me,
I agree.
yeah, it's basic, but I can read it. The
Yeah.
other one, like, I'm like, black, oh, white, snow, white widow. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't really put too much into the titles and stuff.
Yeah. Just kind of stood out. Okay, that's cool. All right, Nick, what about you, man? You saw as well the titles and everything. Which one really stood out to you more so?
For me, at least, looking at these, I have a couple points to take away from it. Obviously, them updating the Black Panther 2 logo, putting the actual title in there, Wakanda
Yeah.
Forever. A little interesting one was changing the colors of the Thor Love and Thunder
Yeah.
logo.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting too. And I think they said, or at least Taika Waititi said, the reason why they did that is to kind of give it make it different from Thor Ragnarok. You know, the color scheme was kind of the same
Yeah.
in that sense. So they really wanted to kind of change it and make it its own unique thing. So that's kind of the reason why they kind of changed it. Honestly, I kind of like the old one better. That's just me speaking.
Yeah.
But
I like a little bit of color in the logo more, but it kind
yeah.
of, I don't know, it kind of makes it match the rest of them in a way. I don't know, because a lot of them, these other new title ones, it's just the same, like silver and black, like,
Yeah.
that same color scheme. But the main one that stood out to me at least was the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness with that background overlay that they put in there with all
Yeah.
the haze. And yeah.
I got you. Yeah, I agree. Look, in all honesty, like Jake said, it really wasn't too much of a difference between the titles and the design of them and whatnot. More so, what really caught my attention, like you pointed out, Nick, was the Black Panther Wakanda Forever title. And then not a lot of people had noticed this or noticed when they announced it, but Captain Marvel 2, that was the name that was announced at E3 or D3 or D23, I'm sorry, in December. And now it's the Marvels. So now you're getting Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and then
Marvel.
what's the lady off of WandaVision, the agent, I can't remember her name. Monica.
Rambeau?
Yeah, Monica Rambeau. Yeah, I knew it would come to me for a minute. But yeah, so now they're kind of playing going along with the comics of how they all have the Marvel name. So I thought it was kind of interesting that they changed the name to The Marvels and literally put Miss Marvel's big S at the end of it to kind of really, show that they're really going to put a lot into it, which, by the way, they got a new director, and this lady had won an Academy Award and whatnot. I forgot her name off the top of my head, but
for what though? Like what movie?
For best movie production.
Yeah, but do you know what
movie? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, and it's just not ringing with me. I just remember that being a big thing. And then another subtle thing with the Ant-Man Quantumania, I kind of like how they emphasize more so now the color of Ant-Man with the red, and then Wasp with the yellow, and then of course Quantumania just kind of stayed the same in that sense. But for the most part, I think Doctor Strange Multiverse out of all of these is probably going to be my most anticipated out of all the movies. Just because of how Loki's going along, which we'll discuss that later on.
Yeah.
How that's going and everything. I really think Doctor Strange, they're really putting him in the pivotal role of, now becoming the head of the Avengers. And then, of course, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, we were not going to really know what's going to deal with that with the passing of Chadwick Boseman and everything. So, but I have all faith in Ron Coogler and Kevin Feige on them making a good story and probably, them doing justice to Chadwick and that character and whatnot. So, guys, let us know down below. I'm sorry, say that again, Jake.
I was going to say, I'm probably going to cry.
Yes.
Like 100%.
Respectfully.
Oh, yeah.
Respectfully.
Jake is the only guy to see me cry in a movie theater when Infinity War hit. And yeah. So
I was there too. Respectfully.
So, but yeah. So guys, let us know down in the comments which one is kind of popped out to you with the most recent change and everything. Not really too much change, but little subtle ones here, and then a couple title changes in here. Let us know down in the low comments. All right. So, all right, let's go on to topic number 2. Topic number 2 is Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, guys, I know the last podcast episode, I announced that they officially have wrap production on the movie and everything. And hopefully we were getting a trailer sometime soon. And a lot of rumors have been going around every single day. Hey, Sony's doing this. They're going to drop the trailer tomorrow and all this, et cetera, et cetera. But I thought the funniest thing was on Twitter. I don't know if Jake or Nick, if y'all saw how Sony was like, yeah, a Spider-Man trailer, and it's an actual 18-wheeler trailer with the Spider-Man logo on there. I was like, y'all are really playing. Yeah, y'all are really playing with my emotions right now. I'm really looking forward to this movie, and I'm a big Spider-Man fan and everything. So along with that, some really interesting news came out a couple days ago. William Dafoe had an interview with News. And they asked him what projects has he been working on for the past year. And in the video, he kind of played coy. He said, I really couldn't answer those just yet until the time is right. Okay. Well, there was speculation that his Green Goblin character was coming into Spider-Man No Way Home along with Alfred Molino's Doc Ock and then Jamie Foxx's Electro. So, guys, with that news, it looks like the pieces of the puzzle are starting to become the actual picture itself with them forming the Sinister Six. Now, they tried to set this up in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and it completely bombed. They just rushed it way too soon. Now that I think Marvel has more control and more creativity of the property of Spider-Man, at least in the MCU side, they're, adding bits here and here like they usually do, say with the Infinity Saga and everything, little parts that all line up to the Infinity War. So, but Jake, Nick, how do y'all feel about William Dafoe coming back as Green Goblin? It's been at least what 20 something years. Yeah, exactly 20 years since he's played this character. Jake, how do you feel about it, man?
Old.
Yes.
Yeah, but also we're spamming the nostalgia button
Yeah.
and it's electric. It's just like reprising a role that was just so iconic when we were younger and now we're like grown up. I don't know. It's magical.
It is. No, I agree completely. And, I thought that character, how he played that character was, beyond amazing. Like he played that character perfectly and whatnot.
He's already terrifying.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Just the way he smiles and whatnot. Oh yeah. It's absolutely terrifying. So Nick, how do you feel about it, man? I know you're a big Spider-Man fan like I am.
Pizza time. That's all.
Yep. Exactly.
I just think that Marvel knows what they're doing with this and tapping into that nostalgia factor with all of us that grew up with these original Spider-Man movies. They know what they're doing. And I loved William Dafoe. He played that character perfectly. He was terrifying. I think we can all agree on that too.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm
I
all
got you.
for it.
Yeah, and just like I was saying, how I'm thinking they're going to form a Sinister Six movie spinoff. Hopefully, I don't know what the plan is after the MCU Spider-Man with Tom Holland deal and everything, because after No Way Home, Tom Holland is no longer contracted for another Spider-Man movie, so they could make another extension or they can make a whole new deal and whatnot. Sony has said that they are perfectly fine keeping Spider-Man in the MCU, but they also trying to do their own thing with Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and kind of setting up a Venom verse. But eventually they said Spider-Man will cross over in some shape, form, or fashion. And Kevin Feige did say in an interview when they made the deal again that Spider-Man is a multiverse crossing character. So you can expect him to, show up in other movies, not in the MCU. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I think, in all honesty, like I said, they're setting up the Sinister Six because first you have the Vulture from Homecoming with Michael Keaton, and then you have Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, which both, in all honesty, I think both those characters are awesome. And surprisingly, they were supposed to be in Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. But of course, that got canceled real quick after Spider-Man 3's devastation at the box office. And we're not going to talk about that movie. So
no, we're not.
Nope. It didn't happen. So, but then they also introduced the Shocker in Homecoming too. And they also introduced Scorpion, even though he wasn't in his comic book outfit. He was the guy on the ferry that was buying the arms from Michael Keaton's Vulture and everything. So they're kind of playing toy. And of course, you see him at the end with the end credit scene. Oh, a little birdie told me, who Spider-Man is. And yeah, so, just kind of playing bits and pieces here. But then you have the main characters or main villains being brought back. Jamie Foxx's Electro and Alfred Molino's Doc Ock, which are one of the big Sinister Six characters. Now, there's been different variations of the team. The first variation of it was Doc Ock is the one who actually gathered all these villains and said, hey, look, we all get beat by Spider-Man. How about we all team up? We can all take them down. It's all easy. But from what the news article was saying the other day about William Dafoe, is saying basically he's going to be the main guy to kind of recruit all these multiverse versions of their villains, of Spider-Man's villains and whatnot, and put them all into one movie. But it's kind of interesting because we have way too many villains. I mean, we have Vulture, Shocker, Doc Ock, Electro, and then Scorpion is an if maybe, and then of course we're missing one more. So maybe if we get a Spider-Man 4 in the MCU, hopefully we may get a Sinister Six kind of movie and whatnot. I mean, guys, how do y'all feel about it? Would y'all be interested in seeing something like that? Spider-Man face off 6 different villains of his greatest foes and every whatnot. Nick, you can go first.
Absolutely.
Jake, how do you feel about it, man?
Most definitely. I don't know if we're allowed to clap for villains when they arrive on the screen or not. I don't know if that's really frowned upon like it is when like a cameo or something happens for like main superheroes. But if they pull off like what they did in Endgame, where they all just pop up at one time, and then in return they outnumber Tom Holland, and then out comes the multiverse of all the different Spider-Men. They like fight their own. I'm gonna go bananas. Like,
absolutely. No,
I agree. Gonna know how to act.
I agree with you completely, and I like I said, it's just more speculation and more confirmation. Basically, is getting told that this is going to be a multiverse movie, and you're going to have Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man coming in. Now, one interesting thing that Alfred Molina did say is all these different versions of characters, all the villains, are not necessarily going to look the exact same as they did in their previous movie when they were first introduced. So maybe it's kind of an update, an upgrade on, the tentacles for Doc Ock, and apparently Electro, Jamie Foxx's Electro, is not going to be blue like he was in the Amazing Spider-Man series. So it may go more comic book accurate, may go, more MCU style in that sense. And I'm very interested to see how they would go with the Green Goblin suit, because technically in the comic books, it was an actual mask that he put on, and it would move facial expressions and all that too. But of course, with William Dafoe's version, it was just like a helmet, flight suit and everything. So
I'd be interested to see if they just changed it up and did it like a mask like that. I think that would be a good change for this movie, especially.
Honestly, yeah, and I honestly think, take for example Mysterio. They literally ripped that costume out of the comic book. It looks the exact same, just a realistic updated version of it. And it honestly worked fine. I mean, the fishbowl. It's the fishbowl, man. Come on.
No,
how do you make that look good on a movie?
That's the dude from Fortnite, man. Astro World. That's Travis
Scott.
That's money.
Exactly. So everything that I'm hearing about all the the rumors and whatnot, it's just furthermore just getting me more excited for Spider-Man. And of course, when Loki ends, this is where they kind of say we may get the trailer, because Kevin Feige did say it started off with WandaVision, with the multiverse kind of thing, the theme and whatnot. So we get WandaVision, Loki, then Spider-Man, and then Doctor Strange until the multiverse of madness, all kind of have an overarching storyline of multiverse. So, hopefully we get a trailer real soon and whatnot. Guys, let us know down in the comments, what do you think about the news about William Dafoe coming back as Green Goblin in Spider-Man No Way Home? Do you agree with it? Do you think it's kind of cheesy that they're bringing back old, really famous, likable characters and whatnot? Just let us know down in the comments. All right, going down to our last discussion of the day, and it is about Loki. Jake, Nick, y'all have both seen episode 1 and 2. Guys, the audience, there may be some spoiling if you have not seen it yet. Also, we could talk about how they moved the release date from Friday to Wednesday. That kind of threw me off for a loop, to be honest with y'all. But just fair warning for everybody, there will be spoiler discussion talking about Loki. So now is your time to leave if you don't want to be spoiled. So
bye.
All right. So guys, Loki, I told Nick this the other day. I honestly think Loki is the best Disney series we've gotten so far with Marvel spinoffs on there. And it's definitely gotten me more interested and more hyped than it did with WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier. I mean, just how it went off blazing right at the start. It has not stopped then. It has not been really a nonchalant moment in that sense. Nick, dude, we watched the second episode the other day. Tell me how you feel about it, man, so far with the first two episodes.
I mean, easily. Even the first episode, after watching that, I had known that my top three of Marvel shows: Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki, right at the top, like
Yeah.
easily. Like it's just they came out the gate swinging, and it hasn't slowed down since. And I've noticed with a lot of these Disney shows, not even Marvel, um, because of Loki only having 6 episodes, like you have to just fill it up with action the entire time and just
I agree.
story.
I agree.
But with these other Disney Plus shows, they have a lot of like these filler episodes, and
Yeah.
I'm personally not a fan of that. But I just like that we have 6 of these episodes, and you know that each episode is just going to get crazier and crazier.
I agree. I agree. And you're talking about fillers. I mean, we got WandaVision. WandaVision was what, 9,
10,
8 episodes? Yeah,
9,
10
yeah,
episodes.
9,
Yeah, I can't remember
9.
off the top of my head. I just know there was a couple episodes where they could have easily put it into another one and,
Yeah.
gotten to the story point very quickly. Now, granted, I know that was the first series to come from Marvel. And I mean, first Marvel content too, in that sense, since COVID hit. So, I kind of understand how they were just trying to build that anticipation. But of course, after all, episode 4 and 5, it just kind of like, okay, we're at the same kind of level and playing time. Like, what's going to happen? I need more action. Whereas Loki, it starts off right where it left off with him in Endgame, takes the Tesseract, disappears, and then nonstop ever since then. So, Jake, you've seen both episodes, man. How do you feel about it so far?
I like it. I don't feel well. It's just like I don't know if I'm just like not picking up on some of the cues or like the like callbacks from like other things,
Yeah.
but I think the pacing's good. Personally, I think I most relate to Loki as a character, personality wise. So I really like the show just because of that. He's
Yeah.
kind of snarky and full of himself at times. And so I can relate. And I don't know, I do like the uh Owen Wilson being a part of
Oh,
it.
Morbius. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
personal favorite.
that's one duo I would have never expected to work so well.
No.
But in all honesty, like I can't get enough of it. Just kind of how Falcon and Winter Soldier, how they kind of bounced off each other comedic wise. I kind of get that sense a little bit more with Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston and everything. So I really enjoy the chemistry between them both because, first episode, it was kind of like Loki was being the annoying, well, not really annoying little kid. It was more so Morbius kind of poking at Loki and talking to him up.
Mhm.
And then it kind of flipped the other way. Loki's sitting at his desk, chilling, taking a test supposedly for the TVA and
Yeah.
just kick back, relax, and messing with Miss Minutes and whatnot. And, it kind of switched to where he was the one poking at Morbius, being the annoying kid now and everything. And, I honestly think what really got me in this series was the ending of episode 2, where we finally kind of got the idea of the possible main villain. Because who's to say she's not the main villain? Who's to say, it ain't the timekeepers
True.
who control the sacred timeline and everything, But Lady Loki kind of threw me for a loop. I know when Nick watched it,
I
he
did
was
not
like,
expect it at all.
yeah, he was
Honestly.
mind blown. He was like, wait, what? Just who is this?
Because I
So-
came into this series with a full clean slate, blank mind. Didn't really, I mean, I watched the trailers, but like I didn't go into the lore of like Lady Loki or anything along the lines of that. So
Yeah.
I was expecting a Tom Hiddleston clone,
Yeah.
even though they kind of hinted up to that point that they can have a different appearance and different kind of powers to an extent.
Yeah.
So as soon as she removed that hood, I was just like,
Yeah. And to kind of explain to everybody with, because there's some talk about Lady Loki, like she's not really called Lady Loki. Her name is Sylvia, and it's just kind of a playoff from Loki, how she was born, and of course in Jotunheim and everything, and taken by a different version of Odin in that sense, I guess. But she's kind of a combine of different characters, kind of how Hela was in Thor Ragnarok. She was a mix between two characters. Whereas Lady Loki, Loki doesn't understand how she's like, I guess, mind controlling them or putting them under a trance or a spell and whatnot. And of course, like you said, Mobius, whenever they were about to go try to catch her at the Renaissance thing, he said they all have different powers. Now, granted, they have more so the same power, but each one has a different other power in that sense. So Lady Loki has the one that she can cast a spell and have the mind control of them and say whatever she wants to through them, which is kind of interesting and whatnot, because it ends up being that's the powers of Enchantress, which is a whole nother character that was created by an actual Lady Loki in the comic books. And that's a whole nother spill. And Lady Loki in the comic book is actually a reborn version of Loki's soul in what's her name? Sith from Thor, first Thor, and Thor Dark World and everything, the girl with the sword in the trio. Yeah. So interesting storyline with that in the comic book. But I don't know if necessarily that's how they're going in the Loki series and everything, but I'm really enjoying it so far and whatnot. And to kind of explain, because Jake kind of asked me this question earlier before we started the show, is to kind of explain, the whole
explain it as if I'm 5 years old. Just break it down.
So in the sense of episode 2, where Loki's trying to figure out where this variant of the other Loki is, he kind of explained to Mobius with the salad scene, which the salad is Asgard. I hope you know that.
Iconic.
That's facts.
Iconic scene already.
Yes. So in that sense, he's saying whatever he does, if he was to go back into that time, and he can do whatever he wants. So, for example, he said if he was to push Hulk off the Rainbow Bridge, that wouldn't have stopped Ragnarok from happening. So what he was saying is if they were to go back during a apocalyptic, I can't even say the word.
Pop-Tart.
Apocalyptic pop. I just said it. Okay.
Apocalyptic
Anyway,
or
I see. Yeah, apocalyptic. I can't even say the word now. Anyway, apocalyptic.
There we go. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, we got it. All right. If they were to go back then, there's no way the TVA would have known that variant was there hiding out the whole time. So that's why they went to the future to, what is it, 2150 or 2050, where
2050.
I thought it was
2050
Hills, Alabama.
Yeah. And the hurricane, to the Roxxon, which is a cameo, by the way, to Iron Man 1 when Ironmonger is facing Iron Man on the highway, and there's a hotel in the back that says Roxxon Hotel. So it's kind of a cameo a little bit.
It's also in the Spider-Man game.
It is in the Spider-Man game too. Yeah.
Roxxon Labs.
So, but so they basically, Loki figured out that the variant was hiding, and that whatever that variant does in that timeline or that space and whatnot, nothing would change from what's supposedly supposed to happen based off the sacred timeline.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how, that they're playing off with it. Now it's different with each movie that introduces time travel. I mean, in game, it kind of said if you do this thing, you're branching off the timeline, and it creates an alternate, timeline and whatnot, which now it's kind of like, okay, well, you created a nexus. Now they go back, set it straight, and then, it's all fine and dandy again. It's back on the same path and whatnot. So, but Loki was basically saying how they find the variant is in those devastating moments. There's nothing that person could do that will change that timeline or those events from happening. So, if that answers your question, Jake.
On know is I do not want to be in Haven Hills, Alabama in 2050.
Yeah, I think I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
move
make
to
sure to
California.
stay away.
You're far away from there.
But yeah, so I mean, we got 4 more episodes, guys, and just the big twist at the end where Loki kind of betrays Mobius and the TVA and follows after Lady Loki. Do you think they're gonna work together or whatnot? Because y'all know that Loki's trying to take over or basically overthrow the timekeepers for control of the TVA.
He's
Because
the
now,
god
in that
of-
sense, the TVA has basically canceled out the Infinity Stones. Where
yeah.
you have Casey,
I don't know
which
how
by
I
the way
felt
is the
about
background
that.
of Jake's background and everything. Casey, shout out to him.
Yeah, okay. Y'all were talking about like who's like the main villain in all this. I'm rocking with this guy. This guy is obviously bad news. If he can hold that Infinity Stone or whatever,
Well, see, that's the thing. They said the Infinity Stones don't work in the TVA, and
which is
that
weird. Why? Like,
because you
I'm
got to
just
put in
saying.
perspective, the TVAs, it's like on pocket dimension and
Reality.
timeline.
Yeah.
It's so it necessarily doesn't follow the rules that they have set in the sacred timeline. So when Loki tries to use his powers and when he's in front of the judge,
Yeah,
it doesn't work
yeah.
because they have their rules and everything. So it just kind of and whatnot. But a lot of fans I've saw on Twitter and whatnot have kind of were like, wow, so Marvel basically just said the Infinity Stones are absolute powerless.
Killed my
Infinity
vibe.
Saga erased.
I mean, give or take,
In game
each
never
stone.
happened.
So that's where a lot of people also are upset in the fact that like the ancient one said, if you take one stone out of the timeline, it branches off to a nexus or a different timeline and whatnot. But then now we get Casey having a whole tray full of like 21 different Infinity Stones. So what happened to those timelines? Just questions here or there about stuff. And hopefully we get more answers along that way. Jake, I kind of like your little theory about Casey being the villain and everything.
I just don't know why
Interesting
they
move.
would have if the Infinity Stones are the way they are. I get like the whole they don't work here thing,
Yeah.
but it seems rather odd to just have this random guy have it in his desk for no reason.
Well,
To be
he's the
fair-
one that takes up the
Well,
evidence.
but why is it if it's taking up evidence? Why is it in his desk, not in like the vault where they have all the other ones that
Well,
don't
he
matter?
did say that a lot of the other workers at the TVA use them as paperweights. So
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like, I don't get it. It just
Yeah,
like
I mean,
something doesn't.
I
make
wouldn't
sense.
trust a man that doesn't know what a fish is either.
That's what
This
I'm
is also
saying.
very true.
Look at that face. That's a deceitful face right there.
He's an evil fish.
Who's to know? In all honesty, I mean, Nick, do you have any like theories based off of so far of the 2 episodes and everything? I mean, now we heard Jake's theory about Casey being the villain. Do you have any other theories?
I honestly can't say that I do. I am
Really?
just cautiously watching along and
Yeah.
Mhm.
theorizing in my own brain about things, but I don't have an overarching theory yet.
I
Maybe
got
with
you.
this next episode, where he's with Sylvie this entire time, I can kind of conjure up something. But
Yeah,
I mean, he is the god of mischief,
this
so
is true. Yeah.
You never know what's gonna happen.
I don't
It's-
know if he's telling. I mean, he has this overall plan to overthrow the TVA and rule it because, like he said in the first episode, he asked the question to Casey. He was like, "Is this the most powerful,
Yeah.
place in the universe?" Because he had all this time he was chasing after, the
The Infinity
Tesseract
Stones,
Stone.
yeah.
The Infinity Stones, and then for that to be, I guess, negated, nullified. He's looking for the next best thing. So,
And and I kind of agree with you a little bit to that extent, but I mean, there's a lot of things that have been popping out to me at least. Like the judge, I forgot her name. It starts with an R and whatnot. I just remember she's a character from the comic books. She ends up being King the Conqueror's girlfriend in the comic books.
which
So a lot of
they
Go ahead.
said that Cain the Conqueror was one of the timekeepers.
Yeah.
that was a theory or that was the truth or something like
Yeah.
that. No, that would make a
So
lot of sense that, she's so close with the timekeepers.
yeah.
Mm.
And then of course you also have that scene when Mobius is in her office and he's like, well, I didn't get you this Teddy Theodore Roosevelt high school pen. This must be from your other asset and whatnot, just stuff here and there. And I don't know if y'all notice this whenever they show like the timekeepers and like the statues and like the facing when it's like behind her and whatnot, even when she's like in the judge in the first episode and then in her office the second episode, they zoom in on that middle one. And
Yeah.
that middle one kind of resembles Jonathan Majors, who's playing Kane the Conqueror and Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania. So, I kind of think in that sense, maybe this is where we get introduced to Kane the Conqueror. And, I'm starting to see bits and pieces here. It took forever, for example, in WandaVision for us to kind of, all right, who's the villain? Like, is Wanda the villain and then whatnot? It's just it took so long. But then, like I said, I think Loki's going at such a good pace in that sense to where you can kind of start to see the pieces kind of all add up together. And I honestly think they're kind of more referencing that middle timekeeper being maybe Kane the Conqueror, at least to me, from what I've seen and whatnot. I don't know about y'all. I don't know if that just kind of put something in your brain right there.
I totally think the same thing because in that office that she's in, like they even mentioned it that the other two timekeepers were holding something. I forgot what it was, but that middle
Hourglasses,
yeah, hourglasses, and that middle one was just kind of he was the only one not holding anything, and he was like kind of the centerpiece of that entire office.
Yeah. So it's just different things here or there about it and whatnot. So I honestly think Loki will be one of our one of my favorite at least series to come from Disney Plus. And of course, we get a lot more coming next year with Hawkeye and Miss Marvel and everything, all She-Hulk and whatnot. So, but so far, I'm really enjoying the Loki series more than anything. And they said this one will really play into how Spider-Man No Way Home basically is set up in that sense of multiverse madness and whatnot. So, but all right, well, guys, if there's anything else y'all want to talk about with Loki, anything else?
There was one like very minute thing that I just thought about that my roommate actually brought up like directly after we watched this like second episode.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about the water rings on the coffee table. Do you remember that?
Yes.
When she was talking about how Mobius had to use a coaster because he was rings on that. And he said that may play like he said that it was odd how they focused on such a little thing like that in that scene. And usually when they do that in films, because he works at the movie theater, so he's always, around that kind of stuff. So he's like, we usually when a film focuses on something like that so small, it comes up in some sort of fashion later on in the series, whether or not it's like I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. And that it makes a lot of sense in that way.
Like different versions of Mobius like left those other rings.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, who's to say it was just Mobius in her office? It could be
Kang.
Yeah, it could be Kang or however they're going to introduce him or the other asset who's helping other cases along with that. But I honestly think the way they're going about it, is still mysterious. They still haven't really figured out what's going on. And of course, we're supposed to get other different versions of Loki too, not just Lady Loki. We're supposed to get introduced to Kid Loki. We're supposed to get introduced to President Loki, where Loki actually won presidency of the world.
Yeah.
And you kind of see that in the trailers when he's all in a suit and it says vote for Loki or vote Loki. And then they all turn on him with the swords and whatnot. And then we're supposed to get like the actual North mythology version of Loki, which would be like an older, eviler version of Loki. So sometime in the series before it ends, hopefully. But I really think how they're going about it so far, it's definitely been very well prepared. And they definitely said they took their time kind of establishing it, and of course talking to John Watts and WandaVision's director about, you know, how the overall arcing story of the multiverse kind of thing, you know, kind of goes along with that and translates. So, and all kind of, you know, smooth sailing. So hopefully when we get to episode 5, we'll start to see at least, you know, some things start to happen big time and whatnot. But I like the pace so far, guys, and everything. So, okay, that's interesting. So, all right, guys. Well, that will do it for us on the Dan Talk podcast. Jake, Nick, I appreciate you both being on here today and everything. Guys, it was great to be back on here. And I do apologize for not doing it for a while, but, you know, that's life. So, appreciate it. Y'all take care now.
Bos Badani.